Hello, we're back again, aren't we, Robo? This is week 3 of the course, and now we go into company law proper, I guess, because what we're going to be looking at is what is a company. And company is, for our purposes, a special type of corporation. Now, what's that? You want to know what a corporation is? Well, if you remember, last week we talked about there were 2 types of ownership. We're going to go a step further this week, and we're going to say how the law recognises 2 types of people, or 2 types of legal persons. There's the natural legal person, that's human beings, like me, and then there's the non-natural legal persons, and they are called corporations. Now, they may consist of one office holder, or that's called a corporation sole, or they may be made up of a number of people, and that's called a corporation aggregate. But our legal systems had these non-natural legal persons around for a period of time, and the history of their development is set out in various books. The history of company law. In fact, companies are, as we know them, are relatively recent, probably the last 100 years or so. But for our purposes, we don't need to know too much about the history. But what we do need to know is the idea that a company is regarded as a separate legal entity in law, different from the people who participate in it or run it. And so a company can sue and be sued. That's right. A company has perpetual succession. That means it never dies. Even though the people who are in the company may die, their company itself continues to go on. Now, we will look at how a company can come to an end. We will look at how we can create a company. And it's only sometimes in law that courts will go and look behind a company, because to attach liability or responsibility to the people who are operating the company, and that's called piercing or lifting the corporate veil, because there are famous cases where the courts have said that the company is separate from the people who run it, including that Schumacher case about Mr. Salomon and his company. Yes, and that's the basis of our modern corporate law, and the corporation is a separate legal entity. What else do we need to tell them? Yes, about the different types of companies, how whether they're public or proprietary, that's right. We go through all of that. What else? Yes, about the Australian Securities and Investments Commission, that's right, ASIC. Yes, they should all go to the website, shouldn't they? Because the ASIC website's got such a lot of information, and the Australian Securities and Investments Commission is the body that regulates companies in Australia. Yes, and the legislations, that's right, it's the Corporations Act of, I think it's 2001. I have to check that, I might say the wrong thing, and it's a Commonwealth Act, that's right. Yeah. And how did it become a Commonwealth Act? Oh, Robo, that is such a long, complicated story, and all started with the Constitution. And when they drew up the Constitution, they didn't make it really clear what were the extent of the Commonwealth's powers in relation to corporations, and they had different ways of trying to regulate it. So in the end, very recently, the states have all handed over the corporation's power to the Commonwealth, and that's why we've got one single piece of Commonwealth legislation now which governs the operation of companies. Yes, that's a very good idea. It makes things a lot easier to follow. Yes. Okay, so you want me to tell everyone that you were seen on YouTube and you've been invited to take part in a documentary on English television? Well, just don't let that go to your head, Robo Lawyer, because fame is very fleeting. Very fleeting. Yes, even you may think you're a big star on YouTube with double-digit numbers of hits. Yes, but it doesn't guarantee you happiness, Robo. Bear that in mind. Anyway, that's enough for this week. You say goodbye, Robo Lloyd. Goodbye, everyone.